Welcome to the Global Speaker Advantage, the #1 podcast where your voice goes beyond borders. Hosted by Oliver Nshom, international speaker and coach, this show is for speakers ready to grow influence, land paid gigs, and make a global impact. Tune in every Tuesday and Friday weekly for insights, interviews, and strategies to help you thrive on the world stage. Let's go global.
Everybody into the Global Speakers Advantage podcast. My name is Oliver Nshom, and today is another excited episode. And with me in the studio is a phenomenal guest, someone I've known, someone I've worked with, someone I'm working with, someone you need to know and to experience him. And again, like you know already, right here in the studio and inside the Global Speakers Advantage podcast, this is where will make your voice go beyond borders. What that means is that we create conversations that enabled and equipped and empowered you to be able to speak beyond your community, beyond your country, beyond your continent. And what that means is that we are taking you global with your voice. And what that means is that public speaking, professional speaking is what we talk about. And we cannot talk about professional speaking, leaving out personal development. And that's why today, with me in the studio, our guests, we're going to be focusing our conversation around personal development, being your #1 self, because you deserve to be the #1 self. You know, there's something I talk about, your version 0.1, your version 1.0, and of course, there is your version 2.0. And we're going to be having conversations around what does it take and what can you begin to do today, this week, this month, and this year, 2025, to take you from your version 1.0 to version 2.0. Welcome, Humphrey.
Yeah. Thank you, Oliver.
Awesome.
Glad to be here.
Great. And of course, together with my team, we are so glad to have you here in the studio, right inside the Global Speaker Advantage podcast. So, how do you feel and what are your expectations?
I feel good, and my expectations is that we're going to have a conversation and just have an opportunity to just share a little bit about some of the, I would say, concepts around personal growth and some stories maybe around how it has helped in our lives, pursuing personal growth as a way of life, right? And I think that's important for each one.
I love that. And I would love to do justice even before we kick off. The audience would definitely like to know before we dive deeper into the conversation,
Sure.
Who is Humphrey? And by the way, let me begin your introduction. Humphrey is a personal development coach. He is a consultant, and he is a corporate trainer. And interestingly, Humphrey has over 2 decades of a career. I'm talking of 20 years of career as an operational risk manager or a risk executive with the Wells Fargo Bank, one of the prominent banks in the United States of America. And that is our guest today. Great. So tell us, Humphrey, you've been in this executive position for over 20 years, working in the corporate. And right now, you are in your newfound career, coaching, training, and sooner speaking. When we talk of personal development, what is the importance of personal development to an average person out there listening to us right now, sir?
Okay. So I'm going to start with, I wasn't in an executive role for 20 years,
Okay.
but I ended in an executive role at Wells Fargo, and so that part's accurate.
Okay.
But as I think about the importance of personal growth, I would describe it as personal growth is the avenue that actually got me into the executive role at Wells Fargo, because it included a focus on what I would say is understanding myself, a focus on understanding where I wanted to be, and then taking the steps or the actions that I need to take to actually achieve and accomplish that. So personal growth is, like it says, it's personal. It's about individuals understanding themselves. But more importantly than that, it's also about individuals stepping in to take actions to pursue their goals, to pursue the things that are important to them, and to prepare themselves for those things.
I love that. And one of the things I learned about you is that you are a John C. Maxwell certified leader, trainer, and speaker in the process. And I want to really, there is this book of John C. Maxwell, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth.
Absolutely.
And that is something you're so passionate about,
I am.
growth, personal growth, and personal leadership. So I'm super excited about the first two laws, or the first three or four laws, but I really want us to discuss more about the first two laws.
Okay.
And when you look at the book, the first law is the law of intentionality.
Yep.
I intentionally wanted to pronounce it that way. And so, what do you have to say about the law of intentionality?
Okay. So the law of intentionality is kind of the initial law, and I would say it's also a foundational law as it relates to personal growth. The law of intentionality starts with the premise that growth doesn't just happen, meaning personal growth doesn't just happen. And I think as I think about life in general, a lot of times we mistake personal growth with, I'm going to call it organic growth.
Okay.
Right? And so as you think about your life, you started out as a baby, you grew into a young boy, you grew into a teenager, you grew into an adult.
Yeah.
Right? And so there's an organic process of growth that happened just because you existed.
Yeah.
Right? The thing that we sometimes think is that our own personal growth happens the exact same way. And I think that's a mistake for us as individuals. And the reason that it's a mistake is because personal growth doesn't just happen. Personal growth isn't just this organic thing that all of a sudden I want to be wise, so I'm going to be wise. I want to be, intelligent, so I'm going to be intelligent. No, what it takes is effort. It takes work. It takes us focusing on the things that we want to be successful at and putting effort into achieving those things, which is why I think personal growth is not automatic. And that's the first precept or the first concept within the book, is that we have to have an understanding that personal growth isn't an automatic thing that happens. We have to be intentional, the law of intentionality. We have to be intentional about seeking and growing ourselves.
Oh, I love that aspect of intentionality in it, because everybody who becomes successful was intentional. And most of the time, decisions I know that will work, that decisions that the person who took the decisions took them intentionally, taking an action. And there's something I learned from one of the greatest American motivational speaker, Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
And so in one of his seminars, he was doing a workshop with us, and he said, most of the time, anytime he takes a decision, immediately as he has taken the decision, he makes sure that he does something about the decision immediately.
Right.
Before he goes even out of the meeting where he was, or in the phone call he was doing,
Right.
before he gets to executing, he has taken a decision immediately. And I see that intentionality part of it. And so Humphrey, how can anyone listening to us right now who has not been intentional about his or her personal development immediately begin to do something to become his or her version 2.0? Maybe people listening to us right now, I believe everybody is in one level or another, whatever route in life or stage in life. And you could just be listening to us right now and you're still on your vision to 1.0. And you want to do something to take yourself up to 2.0. So what can someone listening to us right now start doing in the course of even this podcast to be able to have that shift to the next level of his life through personal development?
Okay. I think the one thing I would start out with, Oliver, is that as we think about growth, we want growth to happen immediately, right? So conceptually, what we want is we want to go from baby to adult in a day. And that's what I would use to compare the construct of, hey, we want to start personally growing. Because when we start the journey of personal growth, we actually think about it, well, okay, I'm going to do this one thing and boom, I'm going to grow. Well, okay, growth doesn't work like that, right? Even if we look at organic growth and we look at growth from childhood, we have the crawl, walk, run model, right? You start out crawling and you advance to walking and ultimately then you can run.
Yep.
Right? And that's kind of a model for what I would say is personal growth as well, is you have to start crawling, which is you identify immediately what are those small steps that you can start taking now that'll help you to grow to the next level, so that then you can start taking the steps then to grow to the next level. So it's a continuous journey. It's a continuous process that we have to go through as individuals for personal growth. You talk specifically about steps that we can take now. Well, as you think about your life and where it is that you want to go, I think the first step that you should think about taking is identifying where it is that you want to go.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Identifying what it is that you want to achieve. And so what that means is that you have to take some time to reflect, to actually think about what are the things that are important to you, what are the things that you prioritize, what are the things that you want to accomplish and you want to achieve, right? And then the next step is, okay then, so what are some of the actions that I need to take to start pursuing that? Right? So as an example, and we've talked about your story as a speaker, right? When your passion came through to say, hey, I want to be a speaker, when God kind of spoke to you and said, that's what you're going to do. Well, you weren't in a position to say, today, I'm a speaker. Right?
Yeah.
You had to start out with small steps that actually got you into the realm of being able to be a speaker. Right? That's the journey. That's the journey that we all have to go through in our lives. That's our personal journey, right? Finding out what it is that we are being called to, finding out the things that we are passionate about, finding out the things that we get excited about, and then putting small actions in place to start progressing towards those achievements.
Wow, I love that. Like when you're talking, I thought about the book of Robert Sharma that talks about the 5 hours effect. Very powerful book. I guess I got the title well. So he talks about the little effects, like 2 minutes, 5 minutes every day, and that's exactly how I started Humphrey. I had this dream to become a global speaker in 2005 when I was in the middle school, and the truth is that my teacher laughed at me, even my classmate laughed at me, because again by then there was no speaker that you could actually look up to by then in the country. And I remember I was making steps every day. Like you said, I did not just become a speaker and started speaking around the world. I started speaking to my classmates. They did not even want to listen to me, so I had to pay some of them to listen to me talk. From then, I went to youth groups around churches. I advocate, I volunteer to speak. From then, I went to different cities, to different countries, to different continents. And the baby steps, I'm actually seeing the baby steps coming up. And that is I love the trajectory from small to bigger.
Right.
So powerful.
But I think the other concept there is that it's a journey.
Okay.
And you more think about it in terms of a marathon versus a sprint.
Okay.
Right. And from a mindset perspective, right? If you have the mindset that this is a microwave journey, meaning if you have a mindset that you're just going to work hard on it and you expect immediate results, then you're not going to put in the effort that it takes to actually achieve the long-term benefit, right? If you think about it in terms of like when you're making a stew. When I was growing up, my mom, she liked to cook.
Okay.
And you'd be making a stew. And the best stew was the stew that actually you let simmer for a long time. She put it on the stove early in the day, stove down on low, and it would just simmer, and it was just simmer. And what that simmer did is it allowed all of the flavors from that stew to get into all of the ingredients, right? It allowed everything to kind of come together so that you had a depth of flavor within the stew, right? So the best stew wasn't the stew that you put in the microwave.
Okay. I love that.
The best stew was actually the one that sat on the stove and simmered over time, right? If you think about our lives in that same trajectory and the things that we want to accomplish, you have to let it simmer a little bit. You have to let it build. You have to let it become deepened and ingrained in who you are so that, again, you can achieve the things and you can achieve the greatness that you want in the future.
Yeah.
But it comes over time.
I love that. So, so what was your favorite stew? You talked so much about the stew. What was your favorite one?
Well, my favorite stew is actually we called it pea soup dumpling, and it was basically You had the dumplings in there, and it had we call it pea soup,
Yeah.
but it had the pork rinds, it had some beef, it had all basically everything was kind of dumped in there and just simmered so that all of the flavor could get into.
Wow.
Anyway,
No,
that's good
very
stuff.
nice. Yeah. Not that you ate it, not that you look so healthy. Very cool. And that reminds me of growing up in the village of northwest region of Cameroon, in the Uku, and that's in West Africa.
Yeah.
So our grandma's food most of the time was the nicest.
Yeah.
So I used to go and visit grandma,
Yeah.
and most of the time I go visit her, stay without letting my parents know.
Yeah.
They'll be looking for me everywhere. But the fun about visiting grandma was that, so she will harvest yams, and when we've
yams,
cooked, yams,
Oh, yeah.
when whatever she has to cook, she will do it, and then as we're going to bed, we wash the yams, and then she will cook it. It will stay overnight.
Overnight. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So when when we get up in the morning, she will call all the grandchildren.
Yep.
They will gather with their plates,
Yep.
whatever, bowls,
Yep.
and she will be counting their own. Each person will be having a portion, a quarter, and all of that.
Yeah.
It was so nice.
Yep.
And my grandma's yams was the best. And that's a yam that's stayed overnight.
Overnight. Exactly.
So I was thinking about the process, like you're talking about, that everything that takes time is always the best. And any good thing that you can see around the world today that took time, is standing the test of time.
Yep.
And that's also one thing we're communicating to our young people. Like I love the concept of the microwave success.
Yeah.
Microwave success also has a microwave effects on the plateauing and descending.
Yep.
So the faster you rise, the faster you fall down. and that's so powerful. So to our young, especially to younger people watching us right now, you watching us, the question you're asking yourself is, okay, have you identified what you're good at?
Yep.
Have you identified what you're best at? It's not about wanting to be like Humphrey or wanting to be like Oliver. It's about wanting to be you, because you can always be. Humphrey used to tell me that you can always compete with yourself.
Right.
Yes, because you can always compete with yourself, because you are the best version of yourself. When you decide, you have to be intentional, and at any given time, you can choose to be the best of the best version of yourself. Or if you're comfortable, contented with what you already have, that's the result. I was reading the book the other day, and the author was saying something so powerful. Everything you have and everything you want is already in us or in you.
Right.
But you will never get those things if you don't grow.
Right. Right.
If you don't grow. For instance, if I did not grow, I could have met you, sir. Yeah. So there are a lot of people that we will never meet, opportunities and places we'll never go to if we don't grow ourselves.
Yep.
And so most of the time, people don't get all they deserve in life because they stop growing.
Yep.
Yeah. And I learned this just the hard way.
Right.
There are some people that they need to support you, to help you, to collaborate with you in whatever you're doing, but they will never meet you where you are now. you need to grow.
Right.
And if you don't grow, man,
Yeah.
nothing will happen.
No. And I think that concept there kind of ties to the understanding, right? That growth isn't what you see as a result. Meaning growth isn't what we're doing here in terms of having this conversation.
Yeah.
Growth is actually the stuff that people don't see. It's the stuff that happens to prepare you to be sitting in a podcast. It's the stuff that happens that prepare you to be able to share insight, right? Growth happens when nobody's looking,
Yeah.
right? And that's the difficult part about growth, is because folks want the stuff that gets them in front of people,
Oh, that's, yeah.
right? That shows the results.
The spotlight, yeah.
But in order to get into the spotlight, you actually have to do the preparation so that when the opportunity comes, you can step into that opportunity, right? And so I think that's a key, what I say is concept as well, is as we think about, kind of microwave success and rapid failure, we also need to think about, well, hey, if we want to have the good things, and whatever we call success for us is what we call success,
Yeah.
meaning we determine our own success. But if we want to have success, right, then we have to determine what that looks like for us. Number one, don't compare to others. We need to do the things that will help us to achieve that success, meaning we got to take the small actions and move forward, and then we need to be willing to stay focused on moving forward with those actions, right? Meaning doing the things, reading the books, right? Reflecting on our lives and identifying the things that for us aren't working and what we need to change. Being willing to kind of step into that and actually make those changes, right? It's knowing what you want to do and then taking the small actions towards getting there, and then it's evaluating ourselves on a continuous basis to say, oh, hey, well, that didn't work.
Yep.
And it's not working. Well, what do I need to do different, right? So that then you can go back into the cycle of, okay, then, well, if I want to get to A, well, I need to actually do A. And so I need to step into doing whatever that is, right? So it's and again, I get back to this, it's a journey.
Yep. Yeah, it's actually a journey, and I love that. I love the explanation. So, so the other day I did my perceive value auditing, and it was amazing. So, the score system gave me 8 out of 10, and they recommended a couple of things. So I want to do that more often. Because I want to keep myself accountable to what I said I want to do and what I'm actually doing.
Right.
Because most of the time when we are not accountable to our actions, most of the time we can be busy. At the end of the day, we don't have results.
Right.
And so when you talk, you reminded me about the quote of Abraham Lincoln, who says that when you don't prepare for your opportunities, when they come, you will not get them. And Myron Golden said it in a very better way. He said, when you don't prepare for your opportunities, when they come, you will be exposed. When you prepare for your opportunities, when they come, you'll be revealed. And so the question is, do you want to be exposed when opportunities come your way, or you want to be revealed? And so, Humphrey, what can you tell our listeners or viewers right now around the world watching us? How do you know that you're growing or you're not?
Okay, I think the reality is it's easy, and yes, yet it's hard, right? The easiest way, if you want to think about it, is are you pursuing the things that you want to pursue? Are you pursuing your passions, right? And are you taking steps to actually grow towards the pursuit of your passion? That's the easy part. The hard part is your willingness to actually honestly assess yourself. And you talked about doing an assessment of kind of what you're achieving. Well, to me, the reality is that we need to be continually evaluating ourselves. We need to look at ourselves, which gets back to the second law,
the law of awareness.
The law of awareness, right? Is that I think we need to consider where we're at and honestly consider where we're at, so that then we can refocus our efforts on the things that actually help us to accomplish what we want to do. So I would say the easy part of it is evaluating ourselves and honestly evaluating ourselves so that we can reset. Because the problem is that you set a goal, you set a target, life comes in, or circumstances comes in, or something happens that kind of pushes you off course, right? Well, then, if you're not doing a continuous evaluation, you will stay off course. If you evaluate and say, hey, hang on a second, I'm going off course, how do I get back on course? I need to start reading more leadership books, as an example. I need to start reading more about self-development. I need to start reading more about this technical topic that I want to grow in. I want to start reading more about speaking. Or, in your case, I want to start doing more speaking. I want to do more. So now you get back on track for what it is that you're trying to accomplish, and then you can head down the road. And you actually end up going faster because you're on target for where you're trying to go, as opposed to being off kilter and then having to adjust to come back.
Wow, that's so deep, man. This podcast, the Global Speakers Advantage, was birthed because of my goals for this year. Remember, we discussed that some time ago. So this year, I had a goal to do 100 speaking gigs, and I remember the first time we were strategizing. Okay. I was like, so what if we start a podcast where we do at least, because we were like, for that to come true, I need to do 2 gigs per week. You remember?
Yep.
And I was like, okay, how do I do 2 gigs per week? So I was like, okay, what can I do to speak every week at least 2 times? Because if I do that, by the end of 2025, I must have done at least 112 gigs.
Right.
And we're like, what can I do? Okay, I joined Toastmasters. I'm like, Toastmaster is once per week.
Right.
And I cannot always be the speaker at the Toastmaster.
Right.
That would be monotonous. And the people get maybe some, I don't know.
Right.
I'm studying before I speak, so I research. But somehow the people like, every same person every week might not be really cool. So I'm like, okay, something has to be done. We started discussing and reflecting and brainstorming, and that's how the Global Speaker Advantage came to. And it was because I was intentional about my personal growth.
Exactly.
And we started developing ideas and concepts and all of that. So the person listening to us right now, thank you so much for explaining about how to know when you're growing or you're not growing. So the question is, how accountable are you to yourself? And are you humble enough to receive feedback? Because from what Humphrey said, there is what we call the blind spot. And my blind spot, I don't see my blind spot. It's a little bit like when you're driving the car, you don't see your blind spot.
Exactly.
Only other people.
Yep.
Yeah, and the other day, Okay, so are you seeing your blind spot? Are you ignoring even the people that are telling you that, hey, be careful? And that's why we all need accountability partners and coaches and mentors. I'm so proud to have Humphrey as my coach, and we have been doing an amazing job. And he always keeps telling me, Oliver, be careful here, watch out here, be careful here. And that he really amazes me with a lot of things about my career, about my life. And I have no idea. I'm having no idea. And anytime he tells me, or any of my mentors or coaches, I'm like, okay, this is something to work on. And that is, so that you're growing at a time where you make a lot of mistakes at times.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's like, okay, you are doing well, but why don't you do this one, this way, this one?
Right.
So it's about taking action.
And I think it's also learning. And so the key here is that when you take action, not every action that you take will be the right action or the perfect action.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
But the reality is it's an opportunity to learn. So regardless of the action that you take, it's an opportunity to learn, right? And so, I think conceptually the other part of that, to your point is that yes, you need to understand where it is that you want to go, and yes, you need to start thinking about what actions that you need to take to get there, right? And some of your actions may actually be, I just need to learn more about this, or I just need to gain a deeper understanding of what this is so that I can get there. And those are actions, and that's okay. And then basically it's you have to be willing to make mistakes.
There we go.
Right?
Yeah.
Coming out of that, if you can't if you can't get past the fact that you're not going to be perfect at doing anything that you want to do the first time, then that's going to be a long, hard journey for
you.
Right?
Yeah. When I was going through the chapter 1 and 2 of the 15 valuable laws of growth, there's a concept that John C. talks about, the EE factor, energy and excellence, something like that. So when you're really doing your passion, like you talk about, you have the energy and you have the excellence in the way you do it. And somebody says that somebody with passion is way better than 100 people without passion. Now this is the point. You talked about how to know that you're growing and how to know when you're not growing. I've realized personally that the moment you make up your mind to start growing, to start doing something with your life that is better, when you path a trajectory for your life, the next thing that happens is disruption.
Yep.
And I can attest to this because when I made up my mind to become a speaker or international speaker, global speaker, the next thing that happened was disruption. I was criticized for my English. I was terrible in grammar. I was criticized for my appearance. I was criticized for literally everything I did for over 10 years. Yeah. I was constantly being criticized. But again, you talked about making mistakes and learning from the mistakes. Right. A little bit like the child that is crawling, he falls, rises back. He keeps on trying it. And the moment he falls and stays there, he or she would never work. Right. And so what I experienced is that the moment I made up my mind to become an author, a speaker, and all of that, I started immediately facing difficulties and challenges. Finances, I used to really loan money to travel to different countries to speak. Right. And they would not pay me. Right. I would still keep on traveling. And I was gaining experience, getting exposure. Right. And today I'm actually utilizing that so well. So, Humphrey, what do you have to say about disruption? You want to do this, but life is challenging. The doors are closing and the investors are not coming. The sponsors are not showing up. Somebody wants to grow from version 1 to version 2 right now watching us. Yep. As a speaker, as an author, as a housewife, as whoever,
Yep.
what do you tell them on how to face their obstacles, but don't give up?
Word that just kind of popped into my head is perseverance.
Oh yeah.
Okay? Perseverance. And perseverance is not the absence of stress. Perseverance is pursuit of your goal in the midst of
Storm.
the stress, in the midst of the obstacles. All right. I'm a believer, and so from my perspective, my perseverance is grounded in my faith. In that I pursue my faith, and I want to continue to grow, and I'm going to continue to get what I says deeper in my understanding of who God is and how He wants to use me.
Okay.
And so, in that construct, in my faith walk, I have to persevere in terms of seeking God. In life, I think it's broadly our ability to be resilient through the things that are disruptors in our lives, right? Because the disruptors only become disruptive when we stop moving in the midst of the disruption, right? By its nature, disruption is kind of a shake. It's like a thing that kind of moves you from side to side. So it's kind of shifting sands. It's stuff that is kind of, but the reality is it's just that.
Yeah.
It's a disruption. It's a pause. It's an obstacle. It's a break. But the reality is, in life, we can get through, get past, get over, get around all of those activities. Why? Because they are set there to be the things that help us to figure out, hey, is this really who I am? And is this really where I want to go? Right? Because sometimes you get into it and you know, you hit I'm going to say a disruption, and it kind of veers you off.
Yeah.
But sometimes that disruption actually is pointing you in the direction that you should go. Right?
I love that.
Sometimes that disruption is actually telling you, hey, I got to go this way for a little bit, but then I'm still going to curve back and go the way that I want to go. Right? And so that's what the reality is of life. Life is going to throw difficulties at you. It's going to throw disruptions and hurdles. It's going to throw stuff in the way of what you're trying to accomplish. The key is personal growth. I'm going to get back to that. The key is personal growth.
Yeah.
Right? Why? Because if you're building up the resilience to say, I know this is where I'm going, right? When you hit that wall, it doesn't become the stop, right? It becomes the opportunity. Because then what you're looking at is, well, do I go over this thing? Do I go under this thing? Do I go around it? Right?
I love that. so that's so deep, and so to you listening to us right now, you are like you're stuck. You are like stuck in the walls of life, and you're giving up. Some people literally they're almost about giving up watching us right now. And so the point is, like the only people that don't face difficulties and disruptions are dirt people, right? Because as long as you're breathing, no man, you have difficulties and challenges in life. And the more you solve those challenges, the more emotional strength you build, the mental toughness you build, and thick skin you build. And so the question is, are you going to give up and then trash your dreams in the trash can? Or you keep on being resilient and staying there until you get it done? So that's the question you need to answer. And remember, things will never be easy. And I love the way Myron Gooden is an amazing teacher, coach. He does a great job. He has a YouTube channel. Yep. He explained the other day this way. He said, when difficulties come in front, and then when we are seeing the challenges, don't close your hands.
Right.
Because in front of the challenges or behind the challenges are opportunities.
Yeah.
Now, open your arms and make sure you see the blessings, the other side waiting for you. Yeah. Because the moment you crush these challenges, you get the blessings. And that was so powerful. Yeah. And many people have given up in life just at the verge of the biggest breakthroughs of their lives. Yep. And because they were not able to persevere, they gave up just at the verge of winning. Yep. And so the point we are saying here, dear friends, is that anytime you see obstacles, you see disruption happening, don't close your fist. See it with an open palm. And make sure you're seeing the blessing, the other sides of it. Because after this disruption, guess what comes? Blessings, opportunities, breakthroughs. And that is the kind of life you want. And that is, maybe, that is your version 2.0. That is just there waiting for you. So, Humphrey, before we transition to the law of awareness, which you started talking about that already.
We're good.
Yeah. So why is it important for, like honestly, Humphrey, I felt very bad this morning. I watched a documentary from a particular filmmaker in the United Kingdom, and two gentlemen from South Africa. They actually hid themselves in an aircraft.
Right.
From Johannesburg, South Africa to London, United Kingdom. And unfortunately, one died along the way. One fell down from the aircraft and passed away. And the other guy survived, but he went unconscious for 6 months before recovering. And I was like, which kind of life is this? And Humphrey, I have actually stayed in the same house in Cameroon with gentlemen that they had to go under the water, swim for almost a kilometer, hid themselves under the ship by the engine side to travel to Europe, to travel to America. And they finally traveled. They arrested them, they found them, arrested them, and then repatriated them back.
Right.
And they traveled again.
Right.
And they traveled back again. And the worst thing is that they don't travel with passport.
Right.
They go without even passport.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, which kind of life is that? Right. So do you think, even before we talk about the law of awareness, do you think what's the problem with this kind of mindset among the young people, and how can we address that, please?
I think the difficulty with that mindset is that as we think about accomplishments in life, we also have to think about what I would say is reality of laws and sovereignty of nations, and we have to think about the reason that they have laws is to help to, I'm going to say, manage folks that are moving from place to place.
Okay.
And I think that there's a desperation, as you described.
Yeah.
That
sure.
certain folks are feeling a desperation that they feel that there's no way out other than to
travel abroad.
Illegally and to kind of this type of activity with you
and
the plane.
And just to let you know, sir, just I'm not cutting you. Just there are people who have done like that and they have succeeded too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot of Africans here in the US.
Right.
I mean, like they came through the desert and even have a very successful gentleman from my country, Francis Ngannou. Yeah. He's a big time boxer and he's doing so well. But he came through the desert.
Right.
And he's very successful. So how do we differentiate that?
Right. Right. I think the reality is that you aren't going to be able to stop everybody from actually attempting that.
Okay.
Route, right. I think the view on it that you should think about is there a better way? Right. Is there a better way, and is there a better thinking that I can have around how I achieve what I want to accomplish?
Okay.
Right. I worked in risk management for most of my career, and sometimes what it takes is you actually have to balance the risk and the reward.
Okay.
To say, hey, this is what I want to accomplish, and this is what I think the benefit is going to be. Now, if you think about it in terms of getting on an airplane, right, and getting in the cargo hold of an airplane, right, they're flying at, 60,000 feet in the air. Temperatures drop to
negative 60 degrees Celsius.
Right? Okay, so if you do a risk assessment and say, does that make sense for me to get into that hold, to allow my body to drop to minus 60 degrees, run the risk of actually falling out with the landing gear when I'm landing, right? Is that a worthwhile risk to take? Versus maybe I wait 6 months and I build up credibility to be able to travel to get to where it is that I want to go. Or maybe there's just another way to go in terms of a path that I can take, right? So I think the hard part is that when folks get into these desperate situations and where they feel like there is no other way, they don't take the time to actually take a step back and contemplate, well, you know what? Maybe there is. Maybe the way that I should take just means more time. Meaning, I don't need to have this solution now. But maybe what I need to do is start growing in what it is that I want to accomplish and figuring out the path that I can take to actually achieve the same end, but maybe reduce the risk. And by risk, I'm talking the risk of death, right?
Absolutely.
The reality is are there other paths that I can take? You talk about opportunities, scholarships, right? There are people that come to Europe or the U.S. on scholarships. So what did they do? They developed themselves and they got education in order to show the ability to leave and actually transition out. Folks do it on businesses in terms of building a speaking business and looking for ways to actually expand and provide that out. So there's other ways that work for folks, and my encouragement is that seek the ways that would help, I'm going to say, humanity, right? And help you, right? And be patient. Right? Don't just rush into the first opportunity you have because, this is the only way. No, it may not be. Right? Pause. Think about it. And make a decision that makes sense for, I would say, for your value, your individual value to mankind.
I love that. And besides, like, you are a gift to the world.
Yeah.
You cannot just spend your life anyhow. If not, you'll be abusing that gift to the world. And I really love that. So, dear young people watching, especially in the third world countries, it pays to develop yourself. We talked about personal development. Knowing yourself, developing yourself, knowing your passion, your talent, working on that. I think that's exactly what I did. I knew that I wanted to become a global speaker, but where I was and what I was doing could not help me to become. So I had to be intentional about reading books, getting coaching, mentors, and eventually that dream came true. So lately, the apartment where I was, so my landlady decided to sell the house.
Right.
So, and he gave me, I think 1 month to get a different apartment.
Yeah.
Then, so I had to transfer my things from that apartment. So one of the things that I had to transfer was the couch.
Right.
And so when I was removing it, it could not pass through the door.
Okay.
So, and I was with one of my roommates, David. So we struggled to pull it out.
Right.
Through that door, it did not come out. And so I had a thought. I'm like, okay, let's take it back inside.
Yep.
And re-strategize again on the dimensions.
Right.
And we went back. We were trying to measure the size of the door and the size of the chair and the part of the chair that could go out first.
Right.
And then the part could go out that could go out second. Then before we could put the chair. And exactly it worked.
Yeah.
So we came back, we brought back the chair, we pulled it back to the house. And so we figured it out. And when we tried with the top going first and the back coming second, it got out.
Right.
And so using that, when you're talking, I was thinking about that experience. I'm like, okay, at times, we have tried stuff and they had never worked.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that it can't work.
Exactly.
Just go back, like you said, re-strategize, plan again.
Yeah.
Maybe this time around, not alone, get your parents involved, get your mentors and coaches involved. Let's plan together, and I bet you it will work. Like, I remember the story of the guy who did the plane. They tried a lot of time, the Wright brothers. It was not working, but it finally worked.
Kept trying.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the that's the other side of it too, is that they were willing to keep trying.
Exactly.
Right?
I love that.
You got to keep
trying.
And so the I would say the dig is not on the effort. The dig is on being strategic about your thinking.
Exactly.
It's about being, what I'd say is intentional about how you think about it, and being strategic about your execution, so that you are not just kind of taking snap actions all the time. You are actually working through how you achieve your goal.
Yep. So that's it, Humphrey. And one of the things that I'm from Africa, I understand a little bit the topography, the atmosphere, the environment.
Right.
So one of the things that actually destroying our young people, that some of them might be watching us right now, is peer pressure, peer influence.
Yep.
Okay, because X is doing this already, I can do it. By the way, he's my age mate. By the way, she's my age mate. Maybe because she has already getting married, I need to get married.
Right.
Because he's already having kids, I must have kids. Because he has traveled abroad, I have to travel abroad. Because he's graduated from university, I must graduate from. But again, what do you have to say? You are a father,
Yep.
you're a husband, and you have amazing kids, very successful kids. Now, what do you have to say about this aspect of peer pressure compared to awareness? Like developing yourself with awareness and then handling peer pressure, not getting to do things because you are being coerced or lured by your peers who are doing them to do them.
Yep.
Yeah, please.
So I have 4 kids, 4 adult children now, so they're not actually kids anymore. They're adults.
Congratulations, sir.
Thanks.
One day we'll be there.
Yes. And the reality is that I think for life circumstances, peer pressure, regardless of where you're at, it's a significant part of life.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
When I was in school, of course, I wanted to be with what we would call the cool group of kids that were at the school, and they were the ones that did all of the bad stuff. But anyway, we all wanted to be a part of that group because it was cool.
Yeah, right.
That was the way to go. For me, what I have learned is that it's okay to be different. Right? It's hard, but it's okay. Right? Which comes back to I'm going to call the law of awareness and understanding yourself. Right? I realized for me that I was always different. I grew up in the Bahamas, which is in the Atlantic Ocean, and that's where tourists go for relaxation. Right? And then it's a beautiful place. I love the Bahamas.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And I
wish to go
grew
there
up
one day.
Yeah, I know. Everybody wants to go to the Bahamas. but the reality is that I had a view of myself that I needed to be who I was supposed to be. I needed to be who God was calling me to be. Right? And so that meant that in order for me to succeed, I had to do things to help me grow personally, which meant I wanted to go to college. So I went to the College of the Bahamas first. Then I went from the College of the Bahamas to St. John's University in Collegeville, Minnesota. So I was looking for ways to, what I would say, improve myself. Right? Even though at the time I didn't realize the construct of personal growth as much. Right? Because this was before I started getting into leadership. But what I realized for me is that I understood the importance of doing the things that helped me to get better. Right? And so as you think about life and as you think about peer pressure is only what it says. It's peer pressure, meaning where you're allowing yourself to be influenced by the perception of what you think somebody else has or is doing. Right? The pressure isn't in the actuality of what they're doing. The pressure is in you feeling like you are more valuable if you do that. And so my encouragement to folks that are kind of dealing with peer pressure is understand yourself. Because not everything that your peers are doing are the right things to do. Right? And growing up, my parents always told us, the saying in the Bahamas was, had you not with the crow been found, you would have been all safe and sound.
Okay.
Right?
And what does that mean?
What that means is if you weren't caught doing bad things with bad people, you would have been okay. Meaning the crow is off doing bad things. Well, if you weren't there with the crow, you wouldn't be in trouble. And I would say each country has a saying that kind of goes along in terms of the company that you keep.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And really what the point is for that is that if your company is pointing you to do things that are either illegal or bad, just bad morally, right, whatever you want to call it, well, then sometimes you actually need to change the company that you keep.
Yeah.
Right? If you're going to follow peer pressure, look for people that are actually succeeding in life.
I love that.
That are succeeding in a moral sense, that are succeeding in a spiritual sense, that are succeeding in I'm going to say in a good sense.
Yeah.
Right?
I love that.
So if you want the pressure, point your pressure, or be pressured to be better. Be pressured to be good, as opposed to being pressured to do things that are wrong.
Illegal. In America, we say illegal. Illegal. I love that. So if we had a sponsor for this podcast today, we could have played the sponsorship right now.
Yep.
But to our potential sponsors, watch out. So next time we should play your slot right now.
There you go.
Yeah. So that's really so powerful. Jim Rohn put it this way. He said, "You're the average of the highest 5 people you spend your time with them."
Yeah.
Yeah, you must have heard about that statement. And that's so powerful. And when I read that statement, I think it was around 15, 16 years.
Mm-hmm.
Today I'm 36. And anytime I notice that I'm in wrong environment, wrong group, like with the wrong peers, I immediately divert.
Yeah.
So the other day, my wife was asking me, "Who is your best friend?" I looked at her, I'm like, "You don't know my best friend." I said, "You are my best friend." And so she expected me to say, "Okay, this dude, this guy." And I'm like, "I don't have a best friend except you."
Mm-hmm.
Because most of the time, my goals are very complex at times.
Mm-hmm.
That when I explain my goals to people per se, I call friends, and the reactions always make me to shy away from them.
Right.
Because again, it's about the influence, the
Right.
peer influence. And that's so powerful. So,
Right.
and I believe that who we become in the nearest future, in the next day, next hour, next month, year, is directly proportional to the companies we keep.
Yep.
And Humphrey, you agree with me that it has to do with the books you read,
Yep.
the TV programs you watch.
Yep.
Like if you're watching this podcast right now, kudos, congratulations,
Yep.
because this is the beginning of your personal
Exactly.
development. As a speaker, as an aspiring speaker, as a youth advocate, as a housewife, as a husband, as a child, whatever. This is the beginning of the personal development we're talking about.
Right.
And so it's about taking intentional time to sit on your pew and watch the podcast. Even you're watching the replay, fantastic. Congratulations for beginning your personal growth process. And so moving forward, Humphrey, what do you have to tell our speakers? This is the Global Speakers Advantage podcast.
Yeah.
The speakers watching are also be like, probably you guys are off topic, Oliver. Like, what the heck with personal development? Now, we understand that we're taking things from the foundation.
Yep.
There is never a successful speaker who does not intentionally develop his or herself.
Exactly.
You agree with me on that?
I agree 100%.
Exactly. So there's coaching program, mentorship. Every successful speaker has a mentor and is mentoring others.
Yep.
So what advice, let me not say advice, what recommendation can you give to our speakers in the United States of America, in Asia? We have a lot of people follow us from Asia, in
Yep.
Europe, in Africa, and all around the world, please.
Yeah.
In terms of what they have to be doing, because speakers also have peer pressure. They see some of their peers they're speaking every week,
Yeah.
traveling around the world, having gigs there, and they're making a lot of money, and they're like, what the heck?
Yeah.
What am I doing here?
Right.
So and again, at times it affects them. They know that there's much gigs there waiting for me. There are bills, you have to handle them, but you're not having the gig.
Yeah.
What do you have to say for our speakers to stay optimistic, but hardworking, and being intentional in every step they're taking? So.
Yep. I honestly, I think it goes back to what we've been talking about for most of the session. Is number one, is you have to be intentional
Okay.
about what it is that you want to achieve, right? Be intentional about growing yourself, because the value of the speaker comes from the value of the content that the speaker presents, right? And you get value in your content because you are growing in your knowledge and your understanding of what it is that, again, people need to hear, people want to hear,
Yeah.
people have to hear. So being intentional about growing yourself as a speaker, right? And that's doing this stuff when nobody's watching, so that you're ready for the time when they are, right? And that's the reading the books about, again, about public speaking. It's about knowing the concepts about public speaking. It's about having life experience and topics and things that you've experienced in life that help others to grow in their own way as well. So being intentional for me is number one.
Yeah.
As a speaker, is looking at ways that you can be intentional about developing yourself so that you can get to the place that you want to go. And the second one is being aware of who you are and being willing to take feedback like we talked about,
Yeah.
right? Because sometimes that's what you need to actually get you over the hurdle, is you need somebody to actually help you, to give you the perspective that says, hey, you need to consider this, or you need to do this, and you need to be willing to listen to that, and then take that feedback and take action based on it, right? And so, to me, the law of intentionality and law of awareness come significantly into play as you look to develop your speaking capability, but also remember as well that this is the long game that you're playing, right? Meaning it's a journey, and you have to have a vision of where you want to go, but you need to have the reality of the steps that you need to take now to pursue that. So where you're trying to get to is out there. This is where you are. And it's not the microwave, I just jump from there to there. No, it's the journey. You go from here to here, to here, to here, to here, to here, to here. Every once in a while you got to go over there, but you come back, but you go from here to there, right? That's the journey.
I love that. That's so powerful. And so it's interesting. You've been working for quite some time right now, and as a corporate trainer, a coach, consultant, what are some things you learned lately that you wish, maybe just 2-3 things that you wish you knew them when you began your career?
Okay.
That our viewers would love to connect with that.
Yeah, I would say, as I think about my life, though I've always set goals, I've been a goal setter. I set things. Is what I have not done consistently is write down those goals.
Okay.
So that's one thing that I've learned, is to be more intentional about actually documenting my goals. The second part that is really important right now that I haven't been good at, I'm going to put it in 2 parts. Is number one is reflecting, is looking back at where I'm at and being thankful for progress that I'm being made, and by that same token is being grateful for the progress, not just for the outcome. Right? And that's the hardest part to actually, in my mind, get around, is because I rate myself on achievement. When I accomplish a goal, then I feel, hey, yay, I did it, yes. And then but I don't stop there. What I say is, okay, so what's next?
Okay.
Right? But in life, sometimes you just need to show gratitude for that step.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's the energy from that gratitude that gives you the drive to move on to that next one. Right? So, as you think about life, my encouragement to folks is reflect on your life, allow time to give you perspective in terms of what you need to pursue, but also celebrate your little wins. Celebrate the wins, no matter how small. Right? It's the gratitude that drives you.
I love that. And I want to seize this opportunity to say thank you, Humphrey, not only for coming for this podcast, but for giving me a lot of feedback. At times I practice my keynotes in your office, and you're like, okay, what if you drop this story, take this one, tweak this, and I really appreciate. And for the coaching you've been having with me, it's a game changing for me, and it's a game changer for me at the same time. And I'm so grateful, sir. And so as we close the curtains of this conversation and today's podcast, take home for you, maybe watching us right now, could just be maybe just take 5 minutes every day and be grateful. Look for something that has happened in your life, probably something God has done in your life, and just be grateful. Just block the 5 minutes every day. There is something. Maybe you're not in jail right now, or maybe you're in jail but you're not dead, right? Maybe you are in the hospital but you're not in the mortuary. So there's something that everybody has that he can say or she can say, thank you, God, for this thing. And thank you, my country, for this thing. Thank you, my parents, for this thing. Thank you, my colleagues, for this thing. There is something. And so look for that thing, and every day dedicate 5 minutes just to reflect on that opportunity you have. And you will begin to see more coming.
Exactly.
You begin to see more coming. And eventually that's part of the personal growth we talked about.
Yeah.
Do you have a last word to our guests, please, as we wrap up?
No, thank you for the opportunity, Oliver, and it's just been a blessing to kind of get to know you and deepen our connection. So I appreciate you, and I appreciate the work that you're doing.
Thank you so much, Sir Humphrey, and thank you so much for coming. So, folks, that was reads for today. Remember, it's the Global Speaker Podcast, and this is your platform to become a global speaker, to take your voice beyond borders. And we are here live every Tuesdays and Fridays from 12 o'clock to 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. So until we meet again next time, Make sure you comment from which part of the world you're watching us from and what you would love us to talk about next time. I was your host, Oliver Nshom, and today I had a guest, an amazing coach and a mentor and a consultant, Humphrey Mckenzie. Thank you. See you then.